There we go.
Woo.
That's why I said
Okay.
that.
1, 2, 3. Well, all right. Welcome back, everyone. We are Jamie, Mike, Grant, and we are
Hello.
three guys, one music.
All
Welcome, everyone. We're going to be talking today about our favorite guitar
Oh, you know
solos.
what?
It's just so dear to my heart. We've kind of compromised. We're going to each go do 7. And this was quite the struggle. But it should be fun. So we'll talk about what we've been listening to this week, of course. And Mike, do you want to go first?
I will do that. So I have quite the list because we haven't seen, it's
been a
back
minute.
and forth. It's like 2 hours and then 2 months before we see each other.
Yeah.
So I've had time to listen to a lot. Today was not the best day for me. Just got up in the
Understand.
mood. So listen to some comfort music. And for me today, that's been the Doobie Brothers, Atlantic Rhythm Section, and Gino Vanelli, of course. That tempered my mood a bit, made things a little easier. Since we've seen each other, Benjamin Jaffe is half of the duo Honey Honey, which I was obsessed with Honey Honey when they were an active band. They've since broke up, and Benjamin Jaffe is someone else. Benjamin Jaffe has made 2 solo albums, which really deserve more love than they're getting. His first one, Wild Ocean River, and the second one, Enlightenment. Really good albums. I recommend listening to that. I've listened to some Cat Power, Angel Olsen, North Carolina native, I believe.
Not a Mary Kate
And
sister.
no,
No relation to
that's
Evan
someone
Olsen?
different. Hey, probably not. But someone I discovered recently was Nicole. I'm going to say this wrong. Nicole Dollenganger. She's a Canadian young girl, and she has a very, do I want to say wistful? She has a very slight voice, and it's
Very delicate voice.
very delicate voice, and the songs sound very delicate. They're very light, but the subject matter is very, very dark, and it's very personal and emotional. And I've just been sucked in. Amazing artist. She has quite a few albums, from her first one, Flowers of Flesh and Blood, to her most recent release last year, Married in Mount Airy. I recommend, I think there's 5 albums altogether. I recommend all of them. I listened to them all day Saturday, and just like I say, I just got drawn in. It's amazing. It's a mood. It's a vibe. And yeah, highly recommended.
I like it.
That's my list for tonight.
Good
Is
to know.
that music that's appropriate for cooler temperatures? As I have said before with like Nick Drake, I can't listen to him in the summertime.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know if you're if that's the vibe you're getting from it. I recommend it.
Very
I can listen to it
Wistful and delicate.
yeah, delicate and dark.
Sounds like a snowflake. Yeah. I will go next. I've been listening to Ramones' Rocket to Russia from 1977.
That's a good album.
Love the energy on that record. And been listening to Pink Floyd's The Animals, or Animals rather, from 1977.
Mm-hmm.
More Strat tones I've been seeking out, and I love that record anyway. And Mr. Maurice Spagnola turned me on to that record in late 1987. I'd never heard it before, and he was quite right to say that I would love it. And finally, Jeff Beck's 1980 release, There and Back, which is a record that I never really listened to much. I came across a video on YouTube of a 1980 show with Simon Phillips on drums and Mo Foster on bass, and it was excellent. They were all in tip-top form, and it was just a lot of fun. And they were touring behind that record. thought I would go revisit that, and it's excellent. So really been enjoying those. And that's
Cool.
what I've been listening to.
Good choices.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. My comfort music today was Mogwai, their last release, As the Love Continues.
Their last or most recent?
Most recent. Same thing.
Not necessarily.
And
how is that album?
Is that not the same thing?
That's what I was saying. Is it the same thing? It's good. It's great. It's fantastic.
Cool.
It's amazing.
Have not had a chance to check it out.
You should do that immediately.
I will.
That's what
at least after
an
this.
artist should put
As soon as possible.
on as a just an advertisement. It's good.
Yeah,
You know,
it's good.
That's plenty. That's all you need to know. It's good.
It's good with several O's.
But,
it's good.
Previously in the week since our last meeting, let's see. George Winston, Eastern Montana, his first posthumous release since his death. Solo piano, obviously. Very meditative music. Planet P Project. Those not familiar.
Tony Perry.
There you go.
Yep.
Pink World. An amazing kind of it's not really prog, but it is a concept album, and it's pretty cool and it's good.
Nice.
Go check it out.
It is good.
Let's see.
It's good.
Porcupine Tree, Lightbulb Sun from 2008. Tears for Fears, Elemental. Roland Orzabal's solo album, Tomcat Screaming Outside. The Fix, Reach the Beach from way back in the 80s.
1983.
And Audrey and Kate, their latest release, Shades of Blue. And if you're not familiar with Audrey and Kate,
Wow.
they're a couple of sisters who live in Japan. And when she was like, I think 8, she started playing Rocksmith, which is like Rock Band in America, and actually learned how to play guitar through playing that, and is an amazing guitarist.
That is remarkable.
Yeah.
Anybody can learn to play through that because they're so different.
Exactly. And she's 20 now, but I think they first went on YouTube when they were like 12, I think. I can't remember. But it just popped up in my feed one day because I like guitar and music, and I was like, what are these kids doing? And it was a cover of Slayer, so it's pretty cool. And I was like, wow, this girl can play. She's really playing guitar. And so it's they've got a lot of releases, original music. This one has 50 songs on it. And,
wow.
Yeah.
How long are they? Ramones length?
Yeah, they're not super long, and they're all instrumental. There might be some vocal here and there, but they don't really sing like traditional. It's mostly instrumental music, and her guitar playing it's just so refreshing, just from a whole different perspective. But anyway, that's what I've been listening to. But yeah, you should check that out, Jamie, as a guitarist.
Yeah. Well, I want to interject. I didn't listen to it this week, but I was lucky to come across a new copy of Joni Mitchell's Blue on LP, and I'm excited to have that. Just give that a shout out. I will listen to it and fill you in next time. But I mean, I've heard it before, but I haven't listened to my LP. So that was a recent score.
That's I think most people's favorite Joni Mitchell record.
And she does a Nazareth cover on that.
Most accessible too, probably.
The other way around. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I know. I don't know if she was still with James Taylor when that was recorded, or if they had recently parted ways.
He played on that album, so I think they parted ways in between it, or while it was being recorded. I don't know.
I know that one of the songs,
complicated story.
Yeah, she was with Graham Nash before that.
Yeah,
and David Crosby before that. She's had some great artists in her life.
Mm-hmm.
But that record is remarkable. It's very well recorded, and it's great.
Yeah.
So that would be a lot of fun to listen to that, like in a really audiophile situation.
Yeah.
Maybe one of those records I want to hear.
Maybe this weekend I'll get to take the plastic off and
nice.
throw it on the turntable.
Cool.
Turntable.
Okay, so we're going to get into our topic. And boy, this is going to be
humdinger.
This is going to be interesting for me because I am a guitar player. And Everybody in this room plays a little bit of guitar, enough guitar, but I am primarily a guitar player.
I used to play a lot of guitar.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I've heard you play. Yeah, I played with you. I decided to approach this a way. It's impossible to say what the top 7 solos are, of course, or even my 7 favorite. I that's incredibly difficult. So
There's
I
about
had
200 favorite.
yeah, they're I love different ones for different reasons, but I decided to approach my list this way. The songs that affected me in the first 5 years that I was a guitar player, which I hate to discount the stuff that I've heard in recent years that I really, really admire and think so highly of, but I don't think that I can approach it another way. The songs that really affected me and changed the course of how I listened and cemented how I viewed I wanted to be a guitar player. Those are always going to be the most important to me, and they're all old. And I can't think of a I can think of several songs in the last 20 years that I really enjoy and love, but not from a guitar solo standpoint. Nothing, with maybe an exception. You know, which it's not on my list, but um, so I had to. You know, I almost don't want to do this in chronological order.
But you have
And
to.
well,
Mine are all from the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
yeah,
Jamie, this is a safe space. You do whatever you need to do.
it's just really hard. You know, might be the episode that I cry.
You have our permission to go out of chronological order.
Yeah, I just don't know that I can. I'm gonna have to do these in the order that I heard them, which is insane itself. But I'm pretty sure that I'm right about when I heard these.
Yeah.
The first choice for me is going to be "Calling Dr. Love" by Kiss. Ace Frehley pretty much improvised a solo, and during this period of his playing career, he was a very melodic player and really played some cool stuff. It changed not too long in the future where he didn't play melodically. He just kind of played his bag of tricks. With all due respect, he was a very influential guitar player to millions of people, including me.
For sure.
And I have a lot of respect for what he did at that time of his life, because it was influential to me. And it would always hold a special place for me. But there are a lot of solos that he did, but "Calling Dr. Love" was one of those things that really made an impact on me as a young man. And it's got a lot of different techniques in it. A lot of flash, whatever you would call it, a lot of overbending,
Spacey.
but it's still melodic. It follows the chords. And that particular solo is off of a record called "Rock and Roll Over." And that a lot of guitar players that are very well accomplished would say that that's their best record for Ace's participation anyway.
Yeah.
It's just a really, really solid record for what that band did, whether you like them or not. But "Calling Dr. Love" is, there are so many that I could mention and some that I prefer, but that was probably the first one that really made an impression on me and kind of told me what you could do, and still was melodic. And that's always the key. And this episode is really going to be an insight to how I think as a guitar player by the time we finish. So that's my first choice.
Good choice.
I think, if I remember correctly, that album came out when I was in second grade. I remember seeing
it came out in November 76.
Yeah, I remember seeing. Really?
Yeah.
I had to be older then.
Yeah, you were in second grade.
Anyway, I remember seeing that album cover and going, "What is this?"
Yeah.
I had no idea who Kiss was until years
Mom,
later.
can I have this? No.
Right.
What's your first
I will
choice?
go. The song was playing on
Victrola?
the old Victrola, the old Sirius XM Victrola, after listening to the old Rick Springfield DJ show. And I've always loved this guitar solo, and that's what made me think of this as a topic because I thought, hey, that'd be interesting, you know? And it's a song from 1985 by the band Tears for Fears. Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
So good.
Yes.
It's excellent.
That solo is so. There are two
Melodic.
solos. Yes, melodic. Roland Orzabal plays the first solo, and Neil Taylor plays the second solo, kind of the outro solo. And they're complementary solos. They're not one's not that much different from the other. But it's so I want to call the first Roland solo a very angular solo. To me, it seems like it's not very. It's flowing, but it's not rounded, and it's not a smooth flowing solo. Like I said, I just say angular because it's like going here and going there and going here and going there. It doesn't like just melodic, even though it's melodic, it doesn't melodically flow. There's not like you can hear a lot of solos you can tell where he's going by what they're playing sometimes if they're not that well constructed. He's going to go here, he's going to do this, or he's going to do that. This is not like that. Like when the first time you hear the solo, you're like, where's he going with this?
Right.
And but yeah, it's just that solo.
And it has a lot of emotion.
Yes.
Again, before we end, it'll be apparent. Solos, there are how many millions of solos? They're all cool in their own way, but the ones that mean the most are the ones that are melodic and the ones that are emotional.
Yeah, and all my picks are emotional picks.
Yeah.
It made me feel wow, it complements the song, and it complements more importantly. In a song with lyrics, the solo should complement what the lyrics are saying, in my opinion. I think that's part of what makes a great solo. If the song is about a certain subject, the solo needs to reflect that, whether it's a love song or whether it's a song about driving your car fast or whatever you want to, any myriad of subject.
Well, let's discuss that whenever we finish up here, because I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
All right. That's my first pick anyway. So.
I like it. I love the song.
Hey.
Yeah. Amazing.
All right. Don't laugh. Quiet Riot. Come on, Feel the Noise. 1983. Carlos Cavaza. I think it's so clean. It's exactly what you expect. It goes where you want it to go. It's just such a fun solo. And the solo after the last chorus where it goes, leads out of the song.
Yeah.
It's just one of those perfect solos to me. It really caught my attention at the time. And it's most of my choices are kind of rhythmic, percussive, but that you could say that's in there somewhere. But it's not overly flashy. It's certainly an excellent metal solo, and yeah, it just hits me.
That pentatonic climb is very that's very rhythmic.
Yeah, I think it's just a perfect solo, rhythmic, exciting. Checks all the boxes.
Yeah, I saw them live that year. Open up for Iron Maiden. Oh, yeah, I'm certain that they played that song, although I don't recall it.
I always wonder what Quiet Riot would have sounded like had Ozzy not nicked Randy.
I don't think as good because I think Randy needed that push.
Yeah,
I think that I've heard Niels Lozauer say that he saw Quiet Riot play with Randy, and he was just really underwhelmed. And then whenever he went to England and blossomed, that everything changed because he was playing a PV solid state amp with Quiet Riot for one thing, and then he started playing Marshalls when he was with Ozzy, and his sonically everything opened up, and I think it just everything blossomed for him. So I think that that's what needed to happen.
Yeah,
but
did he study classical before he went to England, or was that part of his?
Oh yeah,
what's being okay? I didn't know.
Those like Revelation, Mother Earth, and the title track, The Diary of a Madman, are so classical.
Yeah,
in their composition. I mean, he definitely had. He had been a guitar teacher for years, but yeah, his mom was a I guess
Yeah.
she was an educated, teacher and
Mhm.
taught him all that stuff. But yeah, it's so funny. I don't want to get into Randy Rhoads, but fine guitar player. But okay,
He's good.
he is good.
He's
Was
good.
He's stuck on those.
I am.
There's going to be so many of these that I have to skip over that just really breaks my heart. But I don't know when I heard this song in order. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But this solo really affected me because it's vibe and it's so melodic, and the whole song just oozes vibe. But this solo is so delicate in its way, and I'll tell you what it is called in a second. But it just builds in the perfect way, and I love the guitar tone. I love the performance, and it's got all these little inflections that Mick Taylor played on this solo, which is 1973's "Heartbreaker" by the Rolling Stones. Do 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 do. I love the song. I always have
Mhm.
loved it. The guitar solo is so subdued, but it's so melodic, and that was what my ear was just totally drawn to as a young man, and I didn't know that at the time. But those kind of solos really are what I am attracted to compositionally. Flash is great. There's a place for that, but playing the right notes and just with a lot of emotion, and that to me that's the best. So that's
Yeah.
to me a great example of an understated solo that just is a very impactful.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's my second choice.
Excellent. I thought you were next.
You're next.
Am I next?
Yeah, I don't want
Okay.
to step on toes here.
Oh, okay. My bad. My bad. It's been a long day. Long day. My next choice, if I can see where I put it, because mine are not in order. A band out of Canada, Canadian band. 1981. Miles Goodwin is the guitarist. A little love song called "Just Between You and Me."
Great. I love
Yep.
that song.
I
That
listened to that yesterday.
nice. That guitar solo is what I was referring when I said that solo reflects what the lyrics are saying. It's a very even though it's semi distorted, it's very a delicate solo. It's a tender, if you will, solo, reflecting the feel of the lyric.
Mhm.
And again, it's not super flashy. He's playing the right notes in the right place at the right time. Very melodic, and it elevates that part of the song. That's another thing
Yeah.
we mentioned. A solo for a solo's sake can bring down a song if it's not the right solo. The song needs to keep climbing. It has its natural, and I think the solo is probably in a guitar based band. The solo is the high point of the song, and then the song gently works its way back down. Like a movie has its part, and you
Mhm.
find out everything and whatever, and then it kind of leads out in a natural way.
Yeah.
But yeah, such a melodic solo, and it's got plenty of effects on it, but it works.
Well, a gentleman named Gary Moffat played that solo.
I thought
And,
Miles played it.
mm-mm. Gary Moffat was a soloist on that song, and he played a Strat with a fuzz box.
Oh, wow.
But it's not overly fuzzy, but it's just like David Gilmour uses a fuzz.
Yeah,
It doesn't necessarily sound like a fuzz. It just is very pointed.
yes, it's like I said, semi. It's not really distorted, but it's got
Yeah.
that there.
To my ears,
It's deep.
yeah, I was going to say to my ears, that song, that solo has kind of a melancholy component that really,
Yeah.
really fits the
A
feeling
lot of space.
of that. Yeah, yeah. It's a really
Yeah.
good solo.
Yeah, Brian Greenway was the other guitar player besides Miles. Miles did play a lot of solos, but he was the kind of soloist that was more riffy. He never really played any solos that I can recall that were compositionally great. They were just technically fine.
Yeah,
But that's a very composed solo that works really well that Gary Moffat did. And Brian Greenway was also the kind of guitar player that played more compositionally, solo wise. Now,
Mhm.
Miles wrote all the songs, or most 95%
Well,
of them.
I didn't know for sure, and I looked up as much as I could, and the internet is wrong then if
Well,
the
if you
internet
watch the
says
solo, you can watch
yeah,
the solo on
on
YouTube,
the
and Gary
video, yeah.
Moffat's playing
Yeah.
it, and it doesn't sound like Miles to my ear.
Yeah, he's a
You
much
know,
busier player.
yeah, Miles is more licky, and
Yeah.
Gary Moffat wasn't that kind of player. So
Yeah, that's almost
I
a
don't believe that I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me that Miles would have
yeah.
played the solo on the record
Yeah,
and Gary would have played it live.
um, what's the word? It's a very, for lack of a better term, it's a very vocal
Yeah,
solo. You know,
lyrical.
yes,
Lyrical.
there you go. And
Yeah,
I couldn't find the word, but yeah, that's just an amazing, and again, a simple,
it's a
not
great
hard.
song.
Yeah, not hard. You don't need to have all that flash to get that feeling across.
Yeah.
There's another great solo on another track on that, which I won't name the song, but it's one of my favorite tracks from that record. If it's probably my favorite, but you can take a guess as what that song is. It's the other well-known song from that record.
I know what it is.
Brian Greenway played the solo on that, and he actually asked everybody to exit the studio so he could play it with
Oh,
the
wow.
engineer, and because he needed to get in the right headspace. But that
Wow.
worked because I love that solo. I think it's perfect.
They were harshing
Yeah.
his vibe. He said, "Get out of here, man."
Yeah, I guess. Okay, Mike, you're up.
Well, my next choice again seems obvious now that I look at it, but Van Halen's "So This Is Love" off Fair Warning, 1981.
Almost made my
I
list.
think is that right? I
Yeah.
think it's
That particular song?
that
Yeah.
particular song.
Wow.
Oh, you're asking him?
Yeah.
It's my turn. Not his turn.
Sorry.
No, but I think the intro to that solo is just perfect.
Almost
It's-
country picking.
Yeah,
Very
it's so much
playful.
fun. It gets your attention right away, and there's that pause before he jumps in, and then it's just typical Eddie Van Halen. It's just wild and just perfect for that song.
What was that before he jumps in? What'd you say?
A pause.
A pause. He did something.
There's
Okay.
I'm pulling back the reins here. Okay. Yeah, there was a pause, before that.
I do have
he jumps
a
in.
song from that album.
Oh yeah,
But,
yeah.
but that
It's-
was the one that I was a toss up between the two, and I chose this other one. So
It's going to be hard to
interesting.
pick.
Yeah, I mean,
a favorite from Eddie Van Halen.
come on.
There's so many good choices, but that one really sticks out for me. If you were to ask, that's the first one that pops into my head.
Yeah.
I always enjoy hearing that part of the song.
Great. Okay. My next pick is going to be, I don't think most people would even think of this solo as a great one. It's fine, but again, it's because the impact that it had on me at a certain age I was just beginning to play guitar when this song came out. And this song has fantastic finger vibrato, which is one of those things that I clued into really early on. And I do love the guitar tone on it, but it's almost punk rocky, punky, whatever you want to call it. But it's My Sharona by the Neck, Burton Avery, I think is how you pronounce his last name. It's just a great, the first solo in particular. I just love the
I
vibrato
knew it
that
was
he
going to be on
used.
his list. I didn't know it'd be on yours.
Yeah, love it.
My Sharona.
It's very impactful, and I love the guitar tones on this record.
Yeah.
This song in particular, from Doug Feiger and Burton. But
And on the album track, there's that other solo too, not just
Right.
the single version. It's
now
even better,
I will
actually.
say the second solo to me is less impactful. It never
Less
really was
impactful,
that
but I
great to
like
me.
it. It's almost
Yeah, it's
jarring
good.
in a way, compared to the
Yeah.
other one.
Yeah, but the first one is just like right in your gut, and it's just like, oh. And as a young man, it just really made an impact on me, but I didn't know why. I can remember wondering, why do I like this? I mean, I don't remember thinking that, but I do remember I must have been thinking that. It's like, I like this, but what is about this that I really like? And it was only later that I realized it was that finger vibrato that's part of it.
Well, that's
But
like
it's just,
anything
yeah.
creative. Like you can see a photograph and it can be the
Yeah.
most boring photograph in the world to someone else, and you don't know why am I drawn to this, or a movie
Yeah.
or anything. But yeah, go ahead.
Or
Sorry.
a pretty
I get it.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's That's my next choice. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it was on my list, so I will not say it on my list. Let's
All
talk
right.
about it twice in a row. Um, I will talk about the other song, Van Halen, on the same album, "Push Comes to Shove."
Yeah.
That is
That was on my list.
oh well,
There you
you
go.
took mine, I took yours.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's such a the song itself is so different from basically anything they'd ever done up to that point. Had such a different feel,
Yeah.
and um, the way it calms down and it fools you because you don't know where it's going, and then that solo comes in. He's got that pre-solo to the solo, or whatever you want to call it. It's just a little whatever, and then it comes in. It's such a
It's very
strange.
atypical.
Yeah. It fits the whole vibe of that song so well.
Yeah, but that solo feels so alive in that song.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a life of its own.
Yeah, and it's got that
breathing underneath the
it's
rest
got
of the
that kind of
instruments.
dark feeling, like the song is dark,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's funny. But I had both of those, and I was like, which one am I going to choose? And that's funny. I chose that one. You chose that one.
Yeah, we covered all bases.
Yeah, we got it. But yeah, such a Eddie did not make many missteps. Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that solo was remarkable. It was very unusual. The whole song was unusual, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I always love that song, and that's one reason, because it's so unusual. And you hear bands play unusual, and sometimes you're like, man, I wish they'd gone more in this direction. Occasionally, instead of a band will have a couple of songs that are just sound so different, and because it's not popular for whatever reason, they don't want to do, or the record company says, we don't want you doing this again, or something like that. And sometimes you're like, wow, I wish they'd have pursued this avenue a little bit.
Well, I think that is another example of how much emotion was put into that solo. Yes, it's got tonally, it's remarkable. Such a great guitar tone.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Oh boy, I lost you guys for a second.
There you go.
We lost you.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
It's played with so much emotion that you can't not have that in it. And people forget that that's one of the things that made him so great. His sense of rhythm and his feel. And so, yeah, I just love that song, and I love that choice.
Yeah. Yeah, good one.
All right.
I'm sure he gets recognition, but I don't think he gets enough recognition. Is Elliot Easton?
Yeah.
Did you steal another one of my picks?
I probably did. My Best Friend's Girlfriend from the Cars' first album, 1978.
Not my pick.
Elliot Easton is so good at what he does, and that particular solo has so many styles, so much going on in it, and it just climbs and falls back and climbs again. It's such a great solo and such a great song. It adds a much much more complex element to a very simple song. I really like
he's
it.
one of my favorite players. Yes.
That is one of the guitar players that clearly composed his solos, but they were perfect.
Yeah.
They fit in the songs so well. And I don't know any guitar player that doesn't have admiration for him. And guys like Mike Campbell, Tom Petty, they played the right notes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Elliot Easton he's one of the greats. Now, is this am I fourth? I'm not keeping track here.
Yeah. This will be your fourth.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to say I heard this when I was 12 years old. The solo is recorded with a Les Paul Jr. or Les Paul. Yeah. Les Paul with P90s. And in 1955 through the mixing disc. And it's got a very unique tone to it. But the guitar player who played it decided that he needed a little bit more room and ambience. So asked the producer to put it through a high watt amp and then mic that amp. So that's the actual tone that you hear on the record. And that song is Another Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd. That solo, I just remember how different it was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's so clean. but it's just perfect for that song. And I never heard anything like that before, at that age for sure. But it
I don't think
still
anyone
stands
has.
out as being very unique.
Yeah.
He didn't have all of the room like he typically would Mike and Ant, but I guess Bob Ezrin encouraged him to record it straight through the mixing desk. I'm not sure, but that's how that was recorded. Like I said, they did end up putting it through an amp later. But that's it's so difficult to choose between great solos by that gentleman David Gilmour, but that's probably the one that affected me the most at that age. So as difficult as it is to choose that one over another phenomenal track from that same record, I have to go with Another Brick in the Wall.
He's one of those guitarists who has a list of iconic guitar solos.
Yes.
And that's certainly near the top of him.
Yeah. Now, I would say that everybody's what they would consider his number one. It's really easy to make that choice. And I'm not going to name the track. But
We're all comfortable with what it is.
yeah. But it didn't make the impact on me at the time that did, because it wasn't a radio track. I don't know if that other song that we're all comfortable with was played. I don't remember hearing it on the radio.
I remember hearing it on the radio.
I'm talking about at that time.
Yeah, not as a
79 and
single. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. I do remember Young Lust being played on the radio in 79 and 80.
Oh, yeah.
Along with Another Brick in the Wall, but I don't remember the other song that we're comfortable with.
I remember hearing that song when we were driving to my grandparents, and it had already gotten dark. And I remember I was semi laying down in the back seat. This is back in the days when you didn't have to wear seatbelts, kids. And the song was on because it was one of the rare moments where I controlled the radio before my father was like, "Oh, enough of this crap," and turned it to something else. And I remember because it was dark outside, the gauges of the car were reflecting up on the windshield. So it was green and red and yellow. I don't even remember what kind of car we had at the time with the turn signals and everything. And it was just such a cool experience for me to feel comfortable listening to that song. But I remember I don't know when that. I don't know if it was a single or not, but I remember I was not driving
a
a
car.
car
Released
yet.
as a single.
Yeah, well, it must have been a deep cut on some weird radio station,
Right.
because that was back in the day where
they would do that kind of thing.
you had to flip the dial to find a radio station, after you get out of town or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I just remember that, and that was an evocative memory. It's very surreal.
Well, maybe the song that we're all comfortable with will come up later with somebody's choice, but
it might. I don't
I'm
know.
sure that people probably know what we're talking about.
Yeah, hopefully, but anyway, yeah. He doesn't do much wrong either on guitar.
Yeah.
No. Sonically, one of the greatest ever. Always got phenomenal sounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. So Grant, you're up.
Let's see. I'm gonna go with a solo that when I first heard it, I was too young and too musically inept to understand it. But I knew I was drawn to it, and I knew there was something there that I couldn't understand. It's a song by The Police, and it's a song called Driven to Tears. Andy Summer, obviously. And it is such a discordant.
That's an angular solo.
Dissonant, angular, geometrical, dodecahedron solo. And at the time, yeah. And at the time, you when you're a kid and you hear something that's not super melodic or almost anti-melodic, you don't know what to make of it. Like if you see a film you don't understand because you're either don't have the experience to understand it, or you don't understand the direction, or blah blah blah.
Right.
That kind of, but I still knew it was there was something there. And I remember reading an article in one of the guitar magazines, and they were just praising the solo, and I was like, "Are they crazy?" I mean, I just didn't understand it, but I liked it, but it was such a weird thing to like. I was like, "What do I like about this?" And obviously, as you as you mature in your musical journey, you understand things more. You understand why certain choices are made, and that solo fits the lyrical meaning of that song so well.
Yeah,
And
there's things that I love about it that really have
yeah,
nothing to do with the choice of notes.
yeah, that's
You know,
such a great solo. But
yeah,
and one that I was drawn to immediately, but I didn't know why, and I didn't know why I liked it but didn't like it. At the same
right.
time almost.
Yeah,
I
that's
can remember listening to that going over the Arizona Bridge coming from Brooklyn to New Jersey sometime in 1991. And I don't know that I had paid attention to that track
Oh, really?
for whatever reason back in the day, because I was not a giant Police fan. It was only, I mean, I absorbed like we all did, but I don't know that Driven to Tears was something that I remember hearing on the radio a lot and when we were growing up. And
It was not a single,
I
but,
didn't seek it
they
out.
did play it on the radio, yeah.
yeah,
But up north, in the tri-state areas, they would play stuff that you just wouldn't hear anywhere
Mhm.
else. And I heard it. I don't know that it was the first time, but it was the first time that it really made me kind of pay attention to it. And I thought, oh, wow, that's so cool. But yeah, I remember listening to that in New York, on the
Yeah.
bridge, literally on the Arizona Bridge. It's the first time I remember really paying attention to it. So,
Well,
yeah,
however old I was when that came out,
1980.
80, 13 or 14 or whatever you are, it was just anathema to me to have heard something like that so strange.
Yeah.
yeah.
But, yeah, an amazing solo.
That's a good choice. That solo is really different, I think, from the rest of the song, and
Oh, yeah.
its whole thing, it adds a different depth of tension to an already tense feeling song. That's one of the gifts that the Police give you in their songs, whether it's, I don't know if it's the um, simple bass part or Stuart Copeland adding the tension in behind the drums, but there's always tension there, and that, like I said, that solo adds a different depth to the tension of that song.
Mhm.
And another
really
example of all that space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, guys, just
Gotta
awesome.
respect the space.
Respect the space. God, that's a great song title.
I can't believe no one has mentioned Rush yet. You guys,
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave that to y'all.
are you saving that for the big finale? I'm going to go ahead and throw
ahead,
my
you go.
cards
Yeah, go
on the
ahead.
table. For me, Kid Gloves from Grace Under Pressure, 1984. Alex Lifeson plays it's so impassioned. It's just storming ahead. And it's so rhythmic to start and goes, it's just a magnificent solo. It goes where you don't expect it, and it's thrilling when it does.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my choice. And I'm sure you can elaborate on it, Jamie, because that's all I know
Well,
about the
I mean,
situation.
it's not one of my favorites. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm a huge Alex fan, and I told several people when I was a kid that he was my favorite guitar player for a long time. He was.
Yeah.
I'm absorbed a lot of what he did, and when I discovered Rush and I would say that, now, Mike, I got you into Rush.
Yep.
Right?
You introduced me.
I was on board. I really loved what Alex did and what he does, and I'm still a huge fan, and I've spent plenty of time analyzing what he brought to the table. I have total respect for the guy. He was just such a natural. That solo is very angular, if you
Yeah.
want to call something that. It's very rhythmic. That's not really what I seek out when for solos like him, but it's great in its own way.
Yeah.
But I love it. Um, I'm up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I was
Well,
gonna
my next
What's
choice,
your final thought?
well,
One of my favorite solos in the album is Between the Wheels.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great solo.
That's so much emotion, but let's say that for another day.
my next song is Between the Wheels. I'm just kidding. No,
Awesome.
actually, my next choice is a Rush song. I am kind of doing these in chronological order.
I've started the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Picking your Rush songs.
There are so many that I love by him, and I've tried to explain to some other friends of ours that aren't really Alex fans that I don't think.
Jamie,
I
you
mean,
don't need friends like that.
well, Well, we all hear things differently, and we
Very
all
much.
have different things that we want to hear. Um, the thing about Alex that I always appreciated, I didn't realize it at the time. I was just all about technique when I was a kid, and I think that's not unusual. You
No,
know,
you're learning. You're
all
like, how do they do
musicians
this? Yeah.
want guys that can play, and Alex could play, but it only dawned on me later how emotional of a player he was, and how much great feel he had when he bent notes, and how much emotion he put into those bent notes. And that's the thing that I think I love about him more than anything. But he did have a great choice of notes, but he Alex is responsible for just about all those great riffs of all the Rush songs. I mean, Geddy's
Mhm.
contributions musically is immense, but Alex was really the guy who wrote all the riffs. I mean, largely.
Yeah.
And I totally dig the guy. So I wasn't, I didn't know about Rush. I don't remember ever paying any attention to them until February of '81. And somebody came into Smith Whitley Music one night on a snowy night, um, and told me about him. And I was like, yeah. I said, I've seen a poster of those guys that wear a lot of makeup. And I just thought they looked effeminate, and it just didn't seem appealing to me at all. But he goes, no,
2112
no,
poster.
no, it was from probably Farewell
Hemisphere.
to Kings era,
Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe Hemispheres, but probably Farewell to Kings. But it was that time period. But the guy said, no, this guy's the best guitar player. You got to check this out. If you love great guitar players, you got to check it out. So having my situation that I had access to all this music, I went right across the hall to the record store and said, I want Permanent Waves. And I took it home that night. And I listened to that on the turntable and was blown away. And it's only got 6 tracks on it. And I remember listening to all these songs and just how much I just remember how much I loved all of it immediately. And I understood these guys were great musicians. You could just tell,
Yeah.
but you could soak it up. It wasn't so cerebral that they were playing. The other thing about Rush, before I name the song, the other talent they had, and Terry Brown, their producer, has said that in an interview, and I think it's very true. They were one of the few bands that could play odd time signatures, but it didn't even feel odd. It
Mhm.
felt so natural because they could groove in an odd time signature. It wasn't so jarring.
Yeah.
And they're one of the only bands that I think can do that. I mean, Tool can do it,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't even say the Dream Theater does it the same way.
No, they don't. It's a
As
little mathy
prolific
sometimes.
yeah, and then sometimes you want that.
Mhm.
But Rush, their odd time signatures were just so I don't know, they just set so well in the track and weren't jarring, is the only way I
Yeah.
know to put it. But I love several solos on this record, but the one that really stood out that night and still one of my favorites is a song called Free Will. And it's just got so
Incredible.
much emotion. It really demonstrates what Alex does as a guitar player, is what he was capable of, but it's just all those notes that he's bending. It's just like he's going for it. And that's what I love about Alex.
Mhm.
It just yes, it's got a lot of speedy runs in it, but it's just got emotion and all those just wonderful bends that just I love it. There's other tracks on there that I really love as well, the solos on there. But
Yeah.
that's still my all-time favorite Rush record because it was
Mm.
the first one for me, so it's a sentimental favorite, but,
Yeah.
that's
Good
my
choice.
that's my 5th choice.
Yeah. Amazing song.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I'm gonna go to the Cars now, which I thought Michael was stealing mine, but he didn't.
Oh,
This is a song that can only be found on their greatest hits album from '85. A song called "Tonight She Comes," and
Great solo.
such an amazing solo.
Yeah.
Amazing, kind of so melodic, but yet so many different facets to it. And I'll throw in that me and several buddies would have a rule: we would be driving around, and if this song came on the radio, somebody had to jump out. You had to stop the car, and somebody had to jump out and run. This was at night when there weren't a million cars on the road. somebody had to
Sounds
jump.
very safe.
Yes, somebody had to. I mean, the car stopped obviously, but then someone had to jump out and air guitar the solo in front of the headlights. So it was just a fun memory. So
Yeah.
I've air guitared that song 1,000 times. Probably not that many really, but it felt like it. Yeah, when there's only two of you, the driver really can't do that. But in case somebody's coming, and you're like, get back in the car.
I want to say that's one of the only solos that Elliot Easton used a vibrato bar, tremolo bar.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's such a like I said, it's kind of, for lack of a better word, all over the place. I guess it's got a lot of different techniques in it, and a lot of stuff going on.
Well, when you talk about lyrical solos, that's a great example because I mean, he could have played that through the whole song while they're singing, and it would have fit. So
It's
it
such a
was
fun
it was a
solo.
perfect
That's what
compliment to that song. Yeah,
it was so fun to air guitar it,
yeah,
Yeah.
And I had friends doing that didn't even know how to play guitar or anything. It was just fun to do. That was such a fun thing to do. It became a thing.
yeah.
It's just a beautiful thing that you have guitar players like Elliot Easton that can appeal to people who aren't guitar players. That
They can
does
recognize it.
does great work, and that's I would argue is basically the deciding factor whether you're going to be remembered or not as a musician.
Yeah.
If you have a recorded product, can you appeal to people who are not musicians? That's really the key.
Mm-hmm.
If your goal is only to appeal to musicians, you're not going to have that much money in your bank account. And it's just such a limited audience, but musicians, as we all know, we can be snobs because we've heard so much. You really want to have us, bend our ear and go, oh, wow, that was interesting. But yeah,
He's talking about you, Grant.
That's what I said.
talking about me. I'm talking about me as much as anybody.
Well, we all can go down that rabbit hole of technique sometimes. And then, and I think I mentioned that in a previous podcast when I was talking about these drummers who can do all this great technical stuff. But, the music it's not very musical. It's just there so they can basically show off. And unless you're just listening to that for the technique and like, oh, how's he doing that? Or watching something like, oh, I'd like to see how he does that. It has no musical relevance other than an exercise. And I don't listen to exercises. I listen to songs.
Yeah. One of my favorite drummers, Stan Lynch, just has the most amazing feel.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing flashy about him. He does just what's needed and puts his own emotion into it, and it's perfect.
Yes.
Sometimes that's all you need and all you could want.
I don't think this solo is going to be on our list, so I'll mention the song now. We're talking about Stan Lynch, but Stop Dragging My Heart Around.
Yeah,
that's just maybe my favorite Stan Lynch performance. It's just like so in the pocket, but it's behind the beat, right? I mean, it's just, it just feels so good.
That's a great example of his musicianship.
Yeah.
Well, my choice is not from an album, but Prince at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah.
Doing While My Guitar Gently Weeps. At the time, I wouldn't call myself a fan. I respected Prince. I have a couple of his albums. But as a guitarist, when he let loose at that show, it was just stunning to me. It was amazing. He's talk about a passionate solo. That's it in a nutshell right there. Prince just wailing. And everyone else just kind of watching them go.
My favorite
because
part,
what else can you do
when they come back in with the vocals and Prince is like, "Oh hell no," and he just keeps on going.
Not done yet. And it was so emotional and so perfect, so musical. And if you didn't feel that one, you just don't have a heart.
Yeah, that's a great performance.
That's a great performance.
I think he impressed everybody on that stage that night.
It baffled my mind when people were like, I didn't know Prince could play like that. I was like, have you ever heard the intro to Let's Go Crazy or When Doves Cry or this or that? Or come on now.
Well, it's a testament to how great he was on all those instruments.
Yeah.
And as an artist, a songwriter, he was one of a kind.
That's for sure.
Okay, well, my next choice is going to be a little off the beaten path, and I would be very surprised if either one of you have heard this song. But this is one of my favorite guitar players, and this song I didn't hear this song in particular.
Is it the
I heard
hamburger
it.
lady face?
No, it's not that one. It's, I was at one of my friend's house in 8th grade, I think, and his older brother had a cassette of this, and I won't say who this was, but he played the cassette, and I was like, "What is that?" And immediately the tone is what attracted me, and the performance and the vibrato. Again, that was the window of time for me, 80, 81, 82, that I knew vibrato was the thing that really, really was something that I needed to have good vibrato, because I loved the sound of all these guys that could do it.
Yeah.
And it was clear to me who had it and who didn't. This guy really has beautiful vibrato, but this song is Ain't No Baby by UFO on the Obsession record from 1978. And I never would have come across this, probably. I don't know how much later I would have come across it, but they weren't on my radar at all. But I heard this song. That's not even the song that was played. The other song was called Hot and Ready, which has got such an amazing guitar solo at the intro. It's just phenomenal. But the solo on Ain't No Baby is so emotional that I have played it for so many guitar players who I respect. And I was like, "You want to hear an emotional solo?" I was like, "This is emotional." It
And
almost makes
who's playing that?
Michael Schenker.
Yeah.
This guy, this solo Ain't No Baby has got so much emotion, and it's possibly the worst rhythm guitar sound on any recorded record that I've ever heard. The rhythm sound on this record is awful, but the lead guitar sound is just majestic. I don't know why there's such disparity between the two, but and this guy, solo on this song Ain't No Baby is just so, it just gets me every time. It's just perfect. And it's just like, you can tell the guy was digging deep and felt this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't heard it, check it out. It's all about the solo. The song is okay, but it sets the solo up beautifully. But I love it.
That's from 78.
1978's Obsession record. And I love that. I love that record from top to bottom.
UFO is one of those bands that I listen to, not a lot, but I've listened to their whole catalog and I couldn't name one song, you know?
Yeah. Well,
It's
Doctor, Rock
yeah,
Bottom. There's a lot of great,
just kind of background music, I guess. But yeah,
I understand why they weren't. To me, there's a good 10 to 12 solid tracks on there that mean a lot to me.
Yeah,
that I do think were well composed. They didn't have a deep catalog that I could put on 5 albums, but I do keep records of theirs on my phone at any given time because I just love the performances. But I do like the songs. But that song, that is my favorite record. I think it's a lot of people's favorite record, Obsession. But yeah, Ain't No Baby, phenomenal solo.
Have to check it out.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. That's my 6th choice, right?
My 6th choice.
Man, one left. Jeez.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Let's see. I can't do that because Jamie already did it.
A lot of overlapping here.
Yeah, I don't want to do typical stuff. I'm gonna pick a song, which I consider, even though they're obvious, it's an instrumental, guitar based. They're obvious verses and choruses that repeat, but most of the other guitar doesn't repeat, so I'm going to consider the whole song a solo. It's by a guy out of Texas called Eric Johnson, and the song's called Cliffs of Dover. Starts off with a weird little
cascading runs.
Yeah, and then the song comes in, and then he just plays. He's good, and that's all I got to say. If you haven't heard of him, folks, he's good. Go check him out.
That should be our catchphrase from here on. It's good.
It's good.
It's my turn to say that was almost on my list because it's such an excellent song.
Yeah, I remember
from start to finish.
Yes, I think the first time I came across him, I didn't really know he had solo stuff. He's played on other people's albums before.
For girls.
Yes, and Austin City Limits was the first first exposure to him, and I was just
wow. So what year would that have been? Do you recall?
80 was that 88?
He was on there in '88, but he's
Yeah.
also there. He's also on there in '84.
Yeah, it could have been '84. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But because Avia Musicom was his second solo album, but I'd heard
Came out in
him.
the
I'd
90s.
heard it. Yeah, I'd heard his playing, and I'd heard his name, before, years before, but
Right.
didn't know that he played like that. But yeah, just jaw on the floor when you see, especially the visual, when you see him playing it,
Right.
But yeah, that whole song is just like, one big solo basically. To
Anybody
me.
who can play a Strat, make it sound so fat like that,
Yeah,
so full. That was what was, and his playing is remarkable, of course. But he came onto my radar in December of '82
Mm.
through Guitar Player magazine, and
Yeah.
it was just a mention of him by somebody, maybe Billy Gibbons. It's like, this cat is bad. He's good. And I thought, Eric Johnson, okay, just sounds like a regular dude, Eric Johnson.
Yeah.
But his first solo record came out in '86, Tones,
Mhm.
and he was on the cover of Guitar Player magazine. So I bought that record, and Tones is still, I don't think I love it as much as Via Musicom, but it's really close. It's a great record. The production on Avia Musicom is better, and the songs I think are better. But the song Trademark from Avia Musicom is my personal favorite from that record.
Yeah.
That is such a powerful melody from beginning to end, and it's such an immense composition. But Cliffs of Dover is just, that affected so many guitar players and the people. And back then, that was played on the radio. It's just crazy to think about now. Just like Surfing with the Alien, played on the radio.
Yeah.
And, just it's wild to think about. But these instrumentals were popular back then. And that's a great choice.
Jamie introduced me to Eric Johnson and Cliffs of Dover, and I was duly impressed when I heard it. Yeah. You're the one who turned me on to that. So thank you, Jamie.
All right. I don't remember that, but you're welcome.
It happened.
Rush and Eric Johnson. Wow.
Yeah. Two for two.
The thing is that if you love something and you really are passionate about it, I guess that comes off. It's like, there's something here. And also, I guess, knowing somebody enough to say, you might like this, but, so is it am I up?
Oh, it's my turn.
Oh, sure.
I was just waiting for you to finish your thought.
Sorry.
1983, their album War, New Year's Day by U2. The solo in that it's not necessarily technically impressive, but as we've talked about the whole episode, the emotion and the feeling behind it, the melancholy expressed in the notes played, it's just the perfect solo for that song. It just if you were just listening to that song as background music when the solo starts, I think you'd take notice of what's going on, because it's just perfect. And even, what was that, their second album? Was it their second or third? Third. So early in their career, it was he's still, he's already playing just so eloquently.
Yeah, like you said, that's the kind of solo you're sitting around talking or eating or something, and that when the solo comes on, you tell everybody to shut up. And just listen to it and then go, okay.
You can feel that solo happening in the song.
And I really love the live version on Under Blood Red Sky.
Oh yeah.
The slide that he does, and just the guitar tone that he had with a Strat through a Vox. That's just one of the best Strat sounds ever, or one of my favorites. I just that's a great song, and I love that solo. Very cool choice. I have about 18 that I could choose from for this last one.
Just rattle them off.
I really want to mention a couple of people, but I can't. I have to mention my all-time favorite guitar player, and this solo is incredibly important to me. And again, I highly doubt either one of you heard this song, but this solo affected me in such a deep way.
Is it one of his solo songs?
No.
Okay.
No, this is a song by Toto.
We might have heard it.
I doubt it. It's a song called "How Does It Feel" off of Isolation. You have heard it? That's got one of my very favorite Steve Lukather, who is my main man.
Yep.
That's got
Luke.
one of my favorite solos. It's just so incredibly emotional, and it's just played with such incredible feel. You could tell this guy was into that performance,
Yep.
and
He was feeling it.
he was feeling it. It is good. I love it.
It's good.
I mean, there's so many people that I could mention that, like Neil Sean. Love so many melodic solos that he did, but
Yeah.
Steve Lukather's "How Does It Feel?" I had to mention this song. It had to go on my list. So that's my final choice.
Nice.
Okay.
Excellent.
Another one to look out for.
Yeah, it's a really well composed song. I
I've
wouldn't
not
say
heard
it's
that in years, so now I'm
it's
like,
not
I
a
gotta go
I
really
wouldn't
listen to that.
yeah, I wouldn't say it's a good song, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that it's one of their best songs, but that solo, whew, boy, brings tears to my eyes. It's beautiful. It's played with such passion.
hmm
Love it.
What was he playing it with?
That was his Valley Arts Strat through Mesa Boogie amps.
Okay.
He had just started using boogies. He had been using Paul Revere modified Fender Deluxes and Marshalls, and which is what he used on all the previous records up to Rosanna and all that.
Yeah.
That he started using boogie amps on that record, and he was clearly inspired because
Oh yeah, by the
he had
sound.
laid down several tracks with his old amps, and when he got the boogies, he decided to recut the guitar tracks with the new amps. And I'm almost certain that "How
Yeah,
Does It
one
Feel"
of 'em.
is a Mesa,
Yeah.
and
Nice.
but it's a beautiful solo in my opinion.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't heard it in years, so I'm gonna go back and listen to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good song.
Alrighty, my final choice. Unfortunately I'm gonna have to leave off Mr. Frampton and the other Stevens, Mr. Steve Stevens.
Yeah,
Um,
I had
I'm gonna
Frampton on
go
mine.
with a little guitarist called CC DeVille
Oh, interesting.
from the band Poison.
Yeah.
And the song "Something to Believe In."
Lots of emotion.
I think that solo is so emotional and fits so well with the subject matter. Again, what I mentioned before, all tying in.
Yeah.
I think it conveys that emotion, that heartfeltness of wanting to try to do the right thing. Um, it's just such a melodic, good solo. And even at
Yeah.
the end, with the diving high note, at first I was like, I wasn't expecting that, but it just it brings a little denouement to that whole thing, and the song gets quiet again and then comes back. It's just such a perfect emotional solo.
Yeah. I mean, I've mentioned before that I met him on that tour, um, Flesh and Blood tour, I think.
Yes.
I saw them. Well, I saw Warrant open up them. They played that night, but Poison didn't play that night. I think Bret Michaels had a diabetic event. That was a story that was thrown around, but
Yeah.
they did not play. But I did see them sound check. I remember vividly seeing Bobby Dahl in a totally long trench coat playing his bass, doing sound check. I did see that. I remember that, but I don't remember CC being on the stage. But I did talk to him. I had his signature for a long time. He was an energetic dude,
Mhm.
but I never heard him
Mhm.
play. I never saw him play that I can
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
But I want to say Ricky Rocket and Bobby Dahl were the only ones on stage for that sound check. I do not remember CC being on stage.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that I remember that song, hearing it, watching it on MTV during the summer of '90.
Yeah.
It was played a lot.
Oh yeah.
And or maybe it was the late summer, early fall or something. So I saw them in October when I met him rather. So that would have been around that time. But yeah, he always played some. I think Every Rose Has Its Thorn is another
Yeah.
great example of a solo that's
He was
emotional.
such a great guitarist and a little
Yeah.
overlooked because of the band. I mean,
Yeah.
they weren't considered. No offense intended, but they weren't considered, like serious musicians or whatever you want to, you
Yeah.
know, say. But and it's surprising. A lot of a lot of musicians people don't consider serious musicians, especially the layman, can actually really, really freaking play. Even artists you don't think can play, even being a
Yeah.
musician, sometimes you think that guy probably really can't play. They can probably really play, Um,
Yeah. I mean, Rick Nielsen's one of those guys that I think people don't take seriously.
yeah,
Although he's a fine guitar player, but he
Yeah.
plays great parts
yeah,
and writes or wrote all those great
yeah.
songs. So
Yeah.
probably one of those guys that people don't take too seriously.
Well, I didn't take Mark Slaughter very seriously, but that dude
Yeah. He's a good
really
guitar player.
freaking play.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Are you
Well,
up,
there
Mike?
was I don't really have 7. I've got a name written down here. I wanted to bring up like Al Di Meola, Raven West Montgomery.
Yeah.
To not being a guitar player myself, that's those are the ones that I like to listen to. But someone else, I think, obviously in guitar circles, it gets a lot of respect, but I think more people need to know about Rick Emmett of Triumph. And I was
Yeah.
trying to narrow down which song. They've had so many great, maybe not anthemic songs, but those stadium pleasers that you want to sing along with. I think maybe Magic Power. Uh,
Oh, wow.
uh,
I heard Late
is
on the Line today.
Yeah, I mean I've got them all listed here. Hold On, Fight the Good Fight,
Yeah,
Lay
that's
It
what
on
I
the
was thinking
Line,
of, yeah.
Magic Power. All of them are great. Let's just say
Yeah.
Rick Emmett. All of them have that signature. I mean the gymnastics are there. The accuracy of the notes, everything's so clean. He's just a great guitarist, and Magic Power is just has that driving spirit for the song and that emotional quality that gives it that excitement. So that's going to be my choice, I think.
Great
Okay.
choice.
I used to love the Thunder 7. I think it's Thunder 7 record. Came out in late 84. I think that's their most solid record from top to maybe it was Never Surrender. I think it was one of those two. Those two records
Yeah.
are back to back.
Never
Those are
Surrender
both
is a
great
really good
records.
album.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
consistent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's really hard to narrow a list. Like I said, I had to cut so many people out. Neil
Oh, yeah.
Gerardo. I'm such a Neil Gerardo
Me
fan.
too.
Yeah. Oh
Jeez.
goodness.
And there's got at least a half a dozen tracks that I wanted to mention by him that I just can't. Brad Gillis, Sister Christian. God, what a phenomenal solo that is. I mean, it just made such an impact. I mean, that's a great solo.
We could spend a while debating
Oh
that one.
man. Well, I
We'll
mean,
just have a show where we just name songs that have
So-
great solos and we don't even
yeah.
talk about them.
yeah,
For me, that's a bit too much pyrotechnic.
well, to
you
me,
know.
it is a lot of technique, but I think it really works within that song. But
Yeah.
that's I don't have a Van Halen song on my list. Push Comes to Shove was on my list, but I also had another one. But
Yeah.
it's so difficult. Just
We didn't even mention the obvious, the Freebird, the Sultans of Swing, the
well,
California,
Stairway to Heaven.
Hotel
was-
California. Yeah, Stairway to Heaven.
Hotel California. Yeah,
Those
Stairway to
5.
Heaven was gonna
Stairway
be
to
my
Hotel
first
California.
choice. That was gonna be my first one, but
Yeah.
and that is a phenomenal solo. And all the Jeff Beck songs. I mean, I love Jeff Beck.
I mean, come on.
I mean, I could Jane by Jefferson Starship. I always
Yeah,
loved that solo. That solo
Clapton's
is
got
just
a few
really
good
well
solos
composed.
in there. I mean,
Yeah.
There's
This
so
is
many
gonna-
great
I had
ones.
some Los Lobos that I left off my list.
We're gonna
Fantastic.
We're going to
solos.
return to this subject. I can see it.
There are
Kind of-
so many. Yeah, I have it. I probably have 30 choice, maybe 40 on my phone that I could have chosen from. So yeah, we probably should do a follow-up to this, another 7 sometime in the near future. But
And Jamie, before we go, I want to apologize for all the squeaking. I have a brand new leather couch and it's making all kinds of
I haven't heard
weird
anything.
noises.
So
if
I haven't
if
heard
that's-
anything. I don't think anybody else has
Noises.
heard anything.
Or maybe it's Grant. Maybe he had a big lunch. I don't know. I don't know
Okay,
what's going on.
It's not me.
Well, thanks
Did I
We'll
everybody.
blame, we'll blame it on the couch.
We appreciate you guys checking in. And as always, please like and subscribe. We hope you got a kick out of this episode. It was fun for us. And we will see you guys next week. Thanks so much.
All right. Be well.